The last candle in Black Hollow. They say Black Hollow is cursed, not with blood or monsters, but with silence. A silence so deep it presses against your chest and makes the bones beneath your skin feel brittle. A quiet that doesn't end when the wind blows or when the trees groan. It waits, it listens, and it remembers. Margot Selwyn hadn't been back in 20 years. Her heels clicked over the cracked cobblestones of the path leading to the old Selwyn house. 3 stories of slate roof, leaning shutters, and a spire that skewered the October sky. It was just as she remembered it, though time had let the ivy consume more of the stone, and the iron gates rusted further into brittle ruin. The village council had tried to have the house condemned several times, but the Selwyn name still carried enough weight to stall bureaucracy. Margot paused in front of the door, a brass lion's head knocker staring at her with hollow eyes. Her hand trembled before she touched the cold metal and pressed inward. The door creaked open on its own. She had not expected a welcome. Inside, the air was heavy with dust and memory. Furniture stood under white sheets like shrouded mourners. The grandfather clock in the foyer was still ticking. She did not know why. Her great-aunt Eleanor had died in this house exactly 1 year ago, on Halloween night. The obituary had been plain and unemotional. Eleanor Selwyn, 87, passed quietly in her family home. No immediate relatives survived her. But Margot had survived, barely. She had been disowned, exiled from the family legacy, and told never to return. Yet here she was, back in the house she had fled from at 17, after one horrible night that had stolen all sense from her world. The will had arrived by certified courier. To Margot Selwyn, the last of the blood, I leave the house and all its contents. The inheritance is conditional. 1 night must be spent within the home before ownership is granted. The night must be Halloween. She could have refused, probably should have. But there were questions only this house could answer, and she was no longer a scared girl. Margot removed her coat and set it on the grand mahogany chair beneath the staircase. She reached into her bag and pulled out the old brass candle holder that had also arrived with the will. It was heavy and ornate, carved with symbols she half recognized from the family's tattered grimoires. The will's final line echoed in her mind. Light the candle at dusk, and do not let it go out until dawn. It was nearly time. She struck a match and brought the flickering flame to the candle's wick. It hissed briefly, then burned with a steady, pale glow. The silence in the house deepened as the last light of day slipped beneath the hills. As the candle's flame cast flickering shadows across the foyer, Margot walked deeper into the house. Every creak of the floorboards echoed like a shout. The portraits on the walls stared at her, stern, pale ancestors with black eyes and thin lips, their gazes unfriendly and unmoved by time. In the drawing room, the fireplace was cold, but the scent of old ash clung to the air like a ghost. Margot glanced around and saw a teacup on a side table, still full, as if someone had left in the middle of a sip. The porcelain was cracked, and the tea inside had long since turned black. She moved to the dining room. The long oak table was set for 13, forks aligned perfectly, dust coating the plates like powdered sugar. A sense of wrongness tightened in her throat. She stepped back, heart beating faster. Something shifted upstairs, a sound barely audible, like fabric brushing against stone. She told herself it was just the wind, but there was no wind in Black Hollow. Margot ascended the stairs, candle held high. The hallways were unchanged, lined with locked doors and ancient wallpaper that peeled in long, curling strips. She passed the library, its door ajar. A book lay open on the floor inside. She paused, leaned in, and saw the title, Rites for the Dead. A page was marked with the smear of something dark. She didn't touch it. She continued down the hallway to the master bedroom. This was where Eleanor had died. The room smelled faintly of lavender and something metallic. A low breeze rustled the curtains, though the windows were shut. The bed was made. A chair had been pulled beside it. On the side table sat another candle holder, identical to Margot's. The candle in it had melted down to a stub. A whisper floated behind her, so soft she nearly missed it. "Why did you come back?" Margot spun around, heart hammering. No one was there. She gritted her teeth. "I'm not afraid of you," she said aloud. The flame of her candle flickered. The silence returned, heavier than before. She left the room and descended the stairs again, the need to keep moving, gnawing at her nerves. Back in the foyer, she caught her reflection in the tall mirror by the staircase. She stopped. Her reflection was not holding the candle. She stepped closer. Her breath fogged the glass. The woman in the mirror looked like her. Same dark eyes, same sharp features, but the candle in her own hand did not appear in the reflection. Her reflection smiled. Margot stumbled back. The candle's flame guttered again, then surged brighter. She didn't look at the mirror again. The hours stretched long. She wandered the house with the candle, refusing to sit or sleep. The rules were clear. The candle must remain lit until dawn. At midnight, the house changed. She felt it. The air grew cold and thick, like breathing through cloth. Whispers began in the walls, snatches of conversation, half-formed and impossible to follow. The door must remain closed. Never blow out the light. Never blow out the light. Blood binds the door must remain closed. The gate. Margot clutched the candle tighter. The flame danced wildly, though there was no draught. In the parlor, she found a chair that had not been there earlier. It faced the fireplace, where a small fire now burned. She knew she hadn't lit it. The chair rocked slowly, as if someone had just stood up from it. On the floor lay an old photograph. Eleanor, much younger, standing with Margot's father. Between them stood a man Margot didn't recognize, tall, pale, and wearing a black coat that seemed to devour the light. The photo's edge was scorched. She turned it over. One word had been scrawled in faded ink. Gatekeeper. A loud knock rang out at the front door. Margot froze. It came again, 3 slow, deliberate knocks. She approached the door, candle trembling in her hand. "Who's there?" she called. No reply. She did not open the door. The knock came again, then again, louder each time. Then it stopped. She waited, holding her breath. A long, slow scrape sounded across the outside of the door, as if fingernails or claws were tracing its grain. Then silence. Margot backed away. She didn't sleep. She walked the house hour after hour, candle burning lower and lower. The whispers continued, now sometimes saying her name. The mirror no longer reflected her at all. In the last hour before dawn, the candle gave its first sputter. "No," she whispered. "Not yet." She ran to the study. There were candles there, dozens. She grabbed one and held it to her flame, praying it would catch. It didn't. The will had said only 1 candle. She couldn't cheat it. Then she heard the voice again, clearer this time. "Let it go out. Let me in." Margot turned and saw the man from the photograph standing at the end of the hallway. He wore the same black coat. His skin was too pale. His eyes were wrong, depthless, like holes punched through reality. He smiled. "You've kept the gate closed long enough," he said. "But everything ends." She raised the candle, shielding it with her hand. "Stay away." He took a step forward. The flame flickered. "You're the last, Margot. All the others let it die. Your aunt, your father. They let the flame go out, and I came through. This house is the seal, and you're running out of time." The candle began to hiss. Wax spilled over her fingers. "I won't let you in," she said. "Then burn with it," he replied. The shadows surged toward her. She ran. Down the hall, through the foyer, past the mirror that showed the man walking calmly behind her. She reached the library, slammed the door, set the candle on a table, and dropped to her knees, sobbing. "Hold on," she whispered to the flame. "Please just hold on." The flame sputtered, then steadied. Outside, a scream, long and furious, rattled the windows. The door buckled once, twice, then stopped. Light began to creep over the hills. The first rays of morning touched the stained glass above the staircase. Margot rose and opened the library door. The man was gone. Only dust and silence remained. She walked to the foyer. The mirror once again showed her holding the candle. Her face was pale, streaked with tears, but whole. The candle gave one last flicker, then extinguished. Sunlight poured into the house. The will had been fulfilled. Margot stood in the doorway, staring at the rusted gates, the overgrown path beyond. The air was different now, lighter. The house seemed to breathe again. But as she stepped outside, she glanced back only once. In the far window of the third floor, a pale face watched her go. Not angry, not mournful. Waiting. And the silence in Black Hollow was no longer complete.